Well, hello, everybody.
Bluetooth connected.
I cannot hear anything. Can you hear me, Sydney?
No, I just watched the intro
I
play.
cannot hear a lick. I lost all my audio. Stand by, everybody. I do not know what's going on. It's like, I have no idea. Testing. Can you hear me at all?
I can hear you fine.
You can hear me. I cannot hear anything. I do not know what happened. Everything was just fine. Let me check my audio settings. That is so strange. I don't know. Everything was fine. A ghost in the machine. You can hear me, but I cannot hear anything. This is like very strange. I mean, I cannot hear Sydney. I can see Sydney's mouth moving.
Can you hear me?
What the hell? Okay, Sydney, take over the show. Let me try to reboot and I'll be right back. So introduce yourself and I shall return. Let me try that.
Okay, sounds
See
good.
if this works. Yeah, I have.
Hi, guys. I can't see the chat, so I'm not ignoring anybody on purpose. Welcome to the show. I'm Sydney. You've probably seen me on here before. If you haven't, I own Spiritual So Simple. I'm a professional psychic. I'm a psychic portrait artist, an energy healer, high priestess. Do a lot of stuff. I hope you're all having a good day. Like I said, I can't see the chat, so hopefully Grizz is back on here soon. What questions do you guys have, or do you have something that you want to talk about? Just let us know. if you see a cat running around here, his name is Hugin. He may jump across the table at some point. I wonder if there's a way to make it so I can see the chat too. That would be great. I'm sure there's not because I'm on mobile. I accidentally drop kicked my laptop. I had it charging in the floor and I was walking by and kicked it, and I kicked the charger port in. No damage to the laptop, I think, but it's well, no damage to the charging port. I mean, it's having some issues with its camera, so here I am. Hello?
I have no audio.
Pairing.
I heard you're pairing Bluetooth. Anything?
Ah! Somebody muted my. I have no idea. That was crazy. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Everything was muted. It was just working fine before we went live, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were talking. That's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition. We have Sydney tonight. So welcome. Ah, that is just loose nut behind the wheel. Speak for yourself, Standing Stones. Interesting. That just drives me nuts. Yes, welcome, Standing Stones. Grizz. Men in Black are back. Yes, well, at least I got hello, Mort. So what are we going to do tonight? What is the, yes, it is the dolls. I know, right? So what are we going to do tonight? What is our flavor?
What does everybody want to talk about?
Yes.
Yeah, I can't see the comments. I asked if anyone had something they wanted to get into.
Well, let's make you bigger. There we go. Voila. Here, let me switch you there. There we go. So
Okay.
everybody can see you there. Hey, Roger, Gary Spikes, Gene Hudson, Eric, welcome, Roger, everybody. Round of applause. It just drives me nuts when stuff don't go right. But no, it's just like they put me in airplane mode, which I don't know why. And then it turned off my Bluetooth, and then it muted all my mic settings, and it's never done that. I don't know.
That's not great.
No, it's not. And then yesterday, during one of my shows, it turned off my studio light above my head. See the light?
Mm-hmm.
See the shadow? Yeah, it turned it off. Freaked me out. Hey, Tracy.
So it's not just the system, it was multiple things happening?
Yes. No, Gene, I haven't talked to Brian. I woke up at 4 today. So, is Sydney in a place with snow? No, I don't see snow. Did it rain today? It rained at my place.
Yep, we got a ton of rain.
So let me ask you something.
Mm-hmm.
I have been studying this phenomenon with Bigfoot and Dogman in Kentucky, and it's prevalent in our area. And you live where? Up north or down south?
I'm above you. I'm up towards West Virginia and Ohio.
That's right. Do you have a lot of stick formations?
We have, I know I talked about my experience with the juvenile that was on my property before. We get a lot like knocking. I've got a neighbor. She lives, her and her husband, they live maybe 30 miles away from me. They have intense, like very, very intense activity. They get knocks, they get hoots, they have sightings pretty often. They've built kind of a relationship going on there.
Interesting.
but we have most of the standard stuff. Yeah.
Interesting. So, I've been watching some documentaries and stuff, and it's very interesting to see how prevalent it is around the Appalachian mountains and so forth. And I don't know, it's just interesting. So, no, but I haven't heard from Brian, and I need to check on him. So, if anybody's heard anything, please post it in the comments. So, I'm kind of curious as well. So, paranormal. So let's dive into that realm. So what's been going on with that field, with your phenomenon and your research?
Let's see. In the past week, we've had, let me think. I think we've dealt with 4 incidents that were either ID related or had something that was pretty nasty involved and had to be either like detached or removed from a place.
Oh
So
wow.
nothing too crazy, really. Most of the time, luckily, it is just mundane things. You go through the checklist of is there a creaky floorboard? Is somebody in the house messing with something they shouldn't? Is somebody living with a narcissist? The regular, like,
Right.
weed things out. But nothing too like out of the routine, I guess.
So
Yeah.
with your paranormal experiences, let's talk about that. Some of the cases you worked on.
Okay. What would you like to get into?
Just everything. Let's talk about some of the cases that you worked on and how you dealt with them.
So, in most cases for the paranormal stuff, you're gonna have ghosts a lot more often than you're gonna have anything that's like per se an earth element or demonic or something like that. Uh,
Right.
so we deal with that quite a bit. A lot of the times it's people who need crossed over or either don't realize they're dead or they're like searching for something or like on the rare occasion they were, forgive my language, just an asshole in real life in their in their human life, and that carries over into whenever you're a ghost, and they get kind of nasty that way. And a lot of people, or I should say, they often get mistaken for something nastier if you're not familiar with being able to tell them apart and dealing with those kind of things.
Right. Do people manifest their issues sometimes when you research?
I think it's pretty possible. I've seen that kind of thing happen with like especially related to cases where people experience very prevalent fear. It's kind of like that. My saying a lot whenever I do like psychic defense teaching workshops or just basic advice is don't go looking for trouble or else you're gonna find it.
Right.
So for people who have like just a kind of entertainment aspect interest in the paranormal who go digging um, in ways that aren't necessarily safe, I've definitely seen that bite them in the butt, bite them on the butt before. um, Normally around Samhain, Halloween, around that time of year is whenever that happens the most often, with people playing with different kinds of tools that they're not used to.
I understand. Well, what are some of your checklists that you do before going on an investigation or looking into, like you're going to somebody's house and you're there? What are some of your checklists that you go through with somebody?
So I try to hit all of the aspects of wellness, like first and foremost. So I always give the benefit of the doubt and take it that unless I get the feeling otherwise, that what they are telling me is their truth, not necessarily the truth, but that it is their truth. And I want to honor them by listening to what their experience is fully and how they like have come to understand it or their relationship with it. From there, I'll go into a reading mode whenever you're connecting with people in a situation where a home is haunted or where they're in an active location. Um, the way that I read, I'm a very clairvoyant reader.
Right.
So I will often see flashes of things, whether it's I do aura reading, so I can see colors around them. Sometimes I'll get symbolism. Sometimes I'll see ancestral lines. Sometimes I'll see, uh, figures or other things if those things are present. So that's a really either like kind of like a it's either there or it isn't kind of way to go in and check. Um, but as far as like going back to the mundane thing, yeah, making sure that uh, they seem to be of like sound mind, making sure that it couldn't be a social issue, like being around somebody who's an energy vampire or is just abusive or treats them terribly, or that they themselves aren't abusive and causing the problems in their home. We go into, could it be simply a leak, the things earlier of like, could it be a leaky faucet? Is there just a raccoon in your attic? um, that kind of thing. Looking for all of the mundane possibilities first and foremost. But then once you actually get in there, um, whenever you show up, you can kind of tell right away if you're popping in an astral sense. You just kind of look around and you're like, all right. And you'll scope it out and say, okay, ghost here. There could be like something that could resemble a mimic or something like that over here. And you just kind of see what's going on in the place.
Have you been to places where people has not told you the truth or lied to you?
Oh yeah. I mean, people, like I said, I try to I want to believe that they are telling me their truth, and you can always trust people to be people, to be who they are. So like a lot of times that kind of situation is somebody who is scared to admit to us that they did something, and they don't want us to think that they, were inexperienced or that they could be the cause of their problem, and now they want someone else to help them. So a lot of times when you're digging out the truth of the situation, it comes out like somebody saying that they hopefully this isn't a hot take, but hopefully it goes well with everyone. You'll see people who get on like witch talk or like there are different kinds of practitioners that practice on social media who kind of just like open a recipe book, and whoever finds anything, they attempt it without maybe having like a basic knowledge of it or an understanding of it, or maybe they're very seasoned in it and they're very well versed in what it is they're doing, but whoever posted it had ill intention. Running into situations like that where people try to practice a kind of craft and end up doing something that they don't mean to do. That happens, and then they get, either embarrassed about it or feel guilty for it, or they get this feeling that I a lot of the times if you're dealing with something that's fear based too or chaotic, you'll get the feeling that you cannot approach someone. Like one of their tactics is isolation first and foremost. So it's natural for them to feel like they have to hide the truth to get help even.
So, how do you address issues or concerns like that when you're dealing with the public?
Like what? I'm sorry.
Yeah, how do you deal with issues or concerns like that when people are fabricating or not telling you the truth?
We deal with it the same way, except it's a little bit more difficult, and the end result is ultimately up to them, because you can sweep a house out 20 times, but if somebody's leaving the door open and putting a neon light on on the window saying like all welcome, they're going to keep having problems.
That makes sense. It really does.
Yeah.
Have you dealt with problem spirits that just won't listen and they're always having problems with and issues all the times?
Yeah, those things are typically more rogue. They don't abide by universal law or cosmic law. And whenever they step outside of those bounds, that's whenever they've violated, either someone else's will, someone else's autonomy. They've gone against somebody's blueprint, and they don't care the ramifications of it or what they're actually contracted to do. And whenever it's a situation like that, it's a fight to get it out.
What would you like to tell people with all your experiences dealing with these entities and in cases, your do's and don'ts, your recommendations?
My do is 99.9% of the time you're fine and there's not a problem. Like for just most everyday people, everyday folks that are just, out living their life, not really invested in like the paranormal community or invested in awakening their psychic abilities, or not necessarily open to their psychic self. But that one's kind of iffy. 99.9% of the time you're okay. And then even more so, sometimes you'll hear things and it's a ghost more likely than not. Like the likelihood that it's something bad gets smaller and smaller the worse that it truly is. So most of the time you're fine. My do's are make sure you're cleansing, make sure you're shielding, make sure you're grounding, and don't go looking for trouble. And if you feel called to work in the paranormal field, do so safely and reputably. My don'ts are, don't play with fire, I guess, and don't be intimidated or scared that something else can control your autonomy without your say so, because you have power over your own autonomy.
How did you get started in this phenomenon?
So I've been psychic my whole life. I grew up with my adopted grandfather. He's Cherokee. I myself am, I was adopted. I'm biracial. I'm half Japanese. So I've grown up very eclectically, I guess. My practices are just as eclectic as I am, and I've experienced clairvoyance and the other clairsenses, clairaudience, claircognizance, and empathy as well, and clairsentience. All four of the clairsenses. Typically, it was nothing too scary or anything like that, like nothing too odd. When I was a kid, of course, I would see something and get scared because, you're not really braced for that.
Right.
You when you're a kid and you go, oh my God, what is that? So there were definitely times where I was terrified for sure. In about 2016 is whenever I really dove into it and started taking metaphysics a lot more seriously, doing classes, both teaching and receiving workshops, classes, starting my certifications. It's really whenever a lot of stuff kind of went into the deep end for me very fast. I know for me, the way that I was really pulled into the more rabbit hole side of the paranormal is I had something in my home at the time, and it was nasty, and it kept me up all night. It was a fear class. It was like, I think it was like a level 3 fear class. I eventually learned how to deal with it, but it was just one of those things where learned trial by fire, I guess.
Right.
And been busy since. it was me learning to do it for myself, me learning to do it for others, and just building the relationships in the paranormal community that led to where I am right now.
Makes sense.
It's very it was very cool. I remember one of the first times where I really got those first inklings of very psychic validation, where I remember one of my friends, her shop is since closed, but we were at her shop, and she also had a metaphysical shop, and she would get calls saying, you know, so and so is in trouble, or hey, you know, I think there's something in my house, would you all care to take a look? And you know, there would be like five or six of us there, so we would all go astrally, you know, and whatever the situation was, whether we're just scoping it out or going to deal with the situation, it was so validating to come back and then hear from, you know, not saying anything yourself, and then hearing from like 6 other people or so the exact same thing that you saw. That's pretty eye-opening, for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
Especially, or even just like 6 or 7 sides of the same story and them all fitting together. That's really whenever I started truly working with a lot of others.
Yes, absolutely. You said you see auras.
Mm-hmm.
When did that start?
It's a developed skill. Anyone who's clairvoyant can develop the skill. I used to just see. So we actually have 7 layers of the aura. I'm writing a book right now on aura anatomy that goes in depth into possibly 9 layers of the aura. But anyway, so right now we're talking about the 7 established layers of the aura. A lot of people, if you're just glancing and just getting used to like using your clairvoyance to read others, and you're tapping into the colors that come about, or like the shape of their aura, or the movement, there's so many different variables. You may only see 1 or 2 colors. But as you focus and read, it's no different than doing a psychic reading. It's just that your focus is on the aura, or the same way that if you were doing something for chakra work, your focus would be on their chakras. So with the aura, you're reading into all 7 layers, and for everyone, they're going to look different depending on who you are. You may have some base colors that stay with you throughout your life. You have every 9 to 15 months or so, your aura shifts. And of course, if you have like a major life event, or if, you know, something traumatizing or a life path change, anything like that will cause like remarkable change in your aura too. As far as how I got started doing like the aura portraiture that I do, whenever I would be reading for people or doing energy healing, through the process of energy healing, one of the things that I do is removal of like attachments, or, you know, things that have embedded themselves or gotten stagnant in someone's energy. So whenever I would be describing to them the situation, you know, I would have somebody come in and say, I saw what to me would be a symbolism of like a black pyramid wedged into their chest. So to me, I know that symbolism would be, okay, their self-hatred or self-loathing has compacted itself down and wedged itself there. And that it's that download of information that I get as soon as I see the object. So in the like removal of that, or in the healing of that, because sometimes things are so compressed and compacted over so long that it takes, you know, multiple sessions to heal, and the person has to be willing to heal. So sorry, I think I'm like jumping around.
No, you're doing great.
Okay. I'm also running on, I've been up since about 3 a.m. So
Oh, wow.
sorry. I'm probably dragging a little bit. But anyway, back to reading the energy and like the removal of these things. The removal is an available option if it's allowed. Like I'll use terms like allowed and like cosmic law a lot, because whenever you're working with the other side, a lot of it is talking like legal work for like the best representation that I have, the best vocabulary I have to describe it is you're looking at the blueprints that somebody has agreed to before they incarnate. You're looking at, you know, soul contracts. You're looking at cosmic law, which is, you know, the laws that everything, the natural laws and orders of how things work.
Right.
So if somebody has agreed to, in their life path, focus on they will learn self-love, then it may not be appropriate for me, so I will not be able to, or will not, because it is wrong, and it will just come back, remove something until you get the okay. So there's a big part of learning how to communicate and getting the yes, no's, the go ahead, or the wait on it is a big part of doing energy healing like that. But anyway, when I would be describing like what I would see as I would do the healing, and then, you know, people would be like, oh my God, that feels so much better. Or, oh my God, that was very emotional. I don't know why I'm crying. Or they would be fine. And then I'd get a message like 2 weeks later saying, I don't know what happened. I was fine and now I'm crying. Just because, you know, the emotional body had just processed what's actually happened. And I would describe kind of like what I'm seeing when this stuff was happening. And I kept hearing the like feedback of, I wish I could see what it is that you're seeing, so that way I could, you know, whether it was just to be able to see it or to be able to notice and have the self-awareness of when those things are going on. And I just heard it enough times, and I have a background in art. So I was like, just hang tight. I'll do your aura portrait.
Oh, that's pretty cool. You said before the show you got a show coming up this weekend?
Oh yeah, I'll be in Pennsylvania. Bill Rigby, he's going to be he's the coordinator for the Penn Ohio Paranormal Conference 2, I think it's what it's called. I'll be there doing live aura paintings on Saturday.
Interesting. What are you going to be doing there?
I'll be doing like the live aura paintings. I'll be doing miniature versions. The full-size versions that I do, I trance for about 4 to 6 hours, focusing on the person's energy. And like I trance, so I may go into it and not remember half of even doing the painting. But it takes about that long to get the sketch down, get the person drawn, actually go into trance, paint the aura, and then on the back of the aura portrait, I do a total interpretation of all of the colors, what they mean, and what they allude to for the next 9 to 15 months, and how your aura is going to shift.
Interesting.
The large ones take me a while, so I only do those by like custom request, because I'm, as much as I love doing it, I don't think anyone else wants to sit across from me for 4 hours and just stare while I stare at them. So I work off of like a reference photo, and I do the aura reading remotely, and then I will have like a video call or meet in person and go over the reading of the aura after it's actually painted, and the interpretation. So for the minis that I'm going to be doing there, I'm working off of drawing the silhouette of the person, so I can knock these ones out in about 30 minutes or so. And then I go in doing the layers of the aura that come through most prominently. Also, if any symbolism comes through or messages. I've had instances where somebody's loved one has come forward. It just depends on whatever's prominent or affecting them at that moment that goes onto the paper.
Interesting. You have any examples you can display or show the audience?
I actually have some, if you all don't mind getting some vertigo.
No, absolutely. That'd be awesome.
I'm in my kind of like classroom setup right now. So I don't know if you can see these.
Yeah.
This one is Jeff's aura. You can see here how it's shaped. We have Ada's, Ada actually has a lot of like rosy dietic energy. Anytime the colors actually cross in front of the person, it's very prominent or meaningful. I have that one here still. I have that one. So like for Sam's, for example, I know I've talked to Sam. She doesn't mind. These are just the ones that I have where I've been given permission to actually display and talk about them.
Oh, that's pretty neat.
So yeah, so it's really fun whenever I get to keep a portfolio, because a lot of the times they're private and people don't really want that.
Right.
Or at least they don't want to go into like what everything means. They're fine with just, the picture. But for Sam's here, you can look, this purple that's sitting above her head there, that's talking about her psychic ability, psychic connection, very prominent third eye energy. There's actually an eye shape coming out of the purple right there. She's also very talented in working with her dreams. She'll have prophetic dreams and do dream magic. She has this like abundance. Her aura also is like a very nice wide, almost like an egg shape or like a big oval versus, an aura that may be smaller.
Right.
So she has a lot more energy. She has a lot more, takes up a lot more energetic space. You'll notice how she has a lot of warm colors on the outsides of her aura. So she's very approachable. She's very outgoing. She also has a lot of like sacral chakra energy in that orange coming forward, and that's talking about her enjoyment. She's really pursuing her joys in her life through this 9 to 15 month period. And there's a little bit more info there, but my neck is killing me.
No, that's fine. Greatly appreciate that.
Yeah.
Interesting. And how long does it take you to do those?
Those are the ones that take about 4 to 6 hours.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I'll work on a reference photo the same way that I would do remote viewing, remote healing, astral work. I connect to the person's energy from a photo. I'll transfer that long and get everything done, and then I'll do the interpretation, and then I'll meet with the person or do the video call, and we'll go over everything.
That's pretty interesting.
I have a couple people that a couple clients that are really, really awesome. They actually get their auras read yearly. So I'm getting the opportunity to track how their auras change over time in my portfolio.
That's interesting. Well, thank you for sharing that. Denise says that's amazing.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Because, you talk about it from time to time when you're on the show. We just never had a chance to see them. So it's very interesting to have an opportunity to have a look at them. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm happy to.
So you got the show coming up, and you also do shows throughout the year, correct?
Yeah, I travel all of Appalachia, doing speaking, doing workshops, classes, live paintings, pretty much all of the services that I offer, I do traveling as well. I'll be doing the live painting at the show in Pennsylvania coming up with Bill. On April 20th, I'll be doing more live painting in Huntington, West Virginia. I've normally have a couple shows every month or so. I'm pretty excited for October. I'm going to be in North Carolina for a pretty long festival. And I'm going to be on the main stage doing live painting. And
oh, that's awesome. It really is.
Thank you.
So how does people find you and follow you?
So you can find me at spiritualsosimple.com. I've been doing this, I've been practicing for 7 years. I only found out Spiritual So Simple within the past year, and I've only started really using social media within like a month or so. I tried to hide for so long from it, but you can find me on Facebook as well, Spiritual So Simple.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us tonight on short notice.
You're
And
welcome.
it's been a pleasure. And hopefully get some rest. And thank you again. And make sure and everybody check her out. And we'll have her again on the show. And from coast to coast around the world, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you at 9 o'clock. Take care, Sydney.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.